Badami, we'll understand that this dance is simply perfect. I am not a dancer. I'm not here to show you the dance aspect. What I want to show you is that this hand and this hand and that hand are actually protruding from the rock. You can see that it has come out of the rock. You have a gap here, you have a gap here, and you have a gap here. Literally, you can put your hand into it. That much of gap is there. Now, let us understand that this sculptor, whose name we do not know, in the 6th century, they did not leave their names behind most times. This sculptor had, you cannot mark it on the wall and then start cutting. That won't happen. You have to have that thought in your mind. And then you have to start putting your, whatever they had, hammer or some sharp instrument, you have to put it under a rock and start cutting. You have to start cutting, cutting, cutting. This sculptor had decided that this murti will have so many hands. This side so many hands, that side so many hands. He had also decided that three of those hands will come out of the rock like that. See, this is brilliance beyond imagination because he has done it directly against the rock. This example I always give to my students. Suppose one of you, suppose I'm a sculptor, today I'm a sculptor, and one of you wants me to make a sculpture of, let us say, Ganesha, let us say, and this is the rock. I have brought a rock this big and I'm starting to make a sculpture. And as I am doing it, suppose I make a mistake and I don't want you to know. I'll keep it aside, I'll quickly buy another rock and I will make a perfect Ganesha and I will give it to you. But this sculptor did not have the liberty because he was doing it against the rock itself. This cave had been carved, all this had been done. On this side is that Nataraja. Suppose this man had made a mistake, just say some mistake. That mistake will be there for you and me to see today when we go to Badami, and we will be commenting on, see, this poor sculptor made a mistake. But look, there is no mistake at all. It is so perfect. How he managed to get that rock out of that middle of that hand and made that hand come out like that, and that too, it is so perfect, so perfect. This is some kind of brilliance and genius. I feel sad to say, but it is true that we have lost that today somewhat, that technique, that expertise, that Sanskrit word that I can use, that Atmartham, to be able to do it from the bottom of one's heart, to dedicate oneself like this. I don't know if it's there. So among the 4 caves of Badami, the one that I showed you earlier is cave number 1, that's dedicated to God Shiva. This is cave number 3. This is a Vishnu cave. This is the biggest and the deepest cave. The LED screen is very, very good, so you can have a perfect idea. There is a whole row of pillars in front, horizontal row of pillars. There is also a row of pillars there. One first row, second row, third row, and there's a 4th row at the back. Imagine somebody, put yourself in the position of the architects and sculptors in the 6th century. You are standing there. What you would have seen is only this rock. Fully. There was no cave temple. You would have seen this rock. And then you decide it should be this long, it should be this deep, and you are cutting inside. To make each of these pillars to be made, you have to take the rock out from all the sides. Only then will you have that pillar. I'll give you an example. Suppose all of you, I am an architect today, you want me to build 4 pillars here on this stage. I will ask somebody to get bricks. I will put brick upon brick upon brick. I'll build 1 pillar. Then I'll take out my inch tape. I will say 6 feet away there should be another pillar and I will build it. That is not possible in this case. There is no question of building. There is only a question of cutting out. So each of these pillars, they have in their minds decided will be 2 feet wide, 2 feet thick, 6 feet tall, for example. And then they were removing the stone around the pillars. And then moving forward a little, 2nd row of pillars. Moving forward a little, 3rd row of pillars. Superb workmanship. And then there is all that goes to the sculptors and architects who made this. So if you stand behind one pillar here, like this lady there, you can't see the pillars in front. The alignment is so perfect. And if you stand behind this pillar, you can't see the pillars at the back. That kind of alignment in a rock cut cave temple in the 6th century, without the sophisticated tools that we have today, electricity, drill, this, that, no graphics, no designing, nothing. They just did it. And this is how the pillars inside look. They were saying handmade, this, handmade, handmade. I don't understand. All this is only handmade, but with the help of very few basic crude tools that they had. And inside, further inside, it's like this. You go in, you have a Vishnu Murti over here, and then I want you to see the ceiling. We'll concentrate on the ceiling. The ceiling is at least 15, 20 feet high. And I'll show you the sculptures on the ceiling. These are the pillars. Not even 1 inch, 1 centimeter of these pillars is uncarved. Everything is carved beautifully. You know, this row of flowers that I'm showing you here, it is blown out of proportion in my photograph, and on the screen that you're seeing, it's only about this much. That intricacy. Okay? All this is part of the pillar. This is like a full-blown lotus running around the entire pillar. That full-blown lotus is holding up the pillar. And then the ceiling. You see, the ceiling, 20 feet high, 6th century, crude tools, without any of the sophisticated equipment that we have today. They were carving on the ceiling. This is what they were doing. And they have done this very exquisite Nagaraja. This is a king, serpent king. I hate to say this, but we are also a country of Vandals. So what had been done in such an exquisite manner in the 6th century, somebody has taken the trouble to break the 2 arms of the Nagaraja over here, like this. Anyway, this is another masterpiece on the ceiling. What you're looking at is actually a square. Inside that is a perfect circle. Like with a compass, he has done it. And then you have a row of fish. And then there is a full-blown lotus in the center. All this design, I repeat, you can't just draw on a chalk or something and then carve. That doesn't happen. And this man was lying down on some kind of a bench or scaffolding, carving. Can you imagine the dust and the stone that would have fallen on his face, almost suffocating him? But the masterpiece remains, his name does not remain. Look at this now. To remember how to draw this, if you give me a piece of paper, I won't be able to do it. But he has done it there in Badami on the ceiling. So today we are going to be crisscrossing the many states of South India. So now we are coming from Karnataka, North Karnataka, we are coming to Tamil Nadu. We are coming to a fairly well-known town called Vilupuram. And inside of Vilupuram is this very tiny village. Today it's a tiny village. It's called Mandagapattu. In Mandagapattu, you have a cave temple which is similar to the ones you saw in Badami. The difference is that this belongs to the dynasty of the Pallavas, the great Pallava dynasty that ruled from Kanchipuram. And this cave temple is definitely much smaller in size than the ones you saw in Badami, etc. 2 reasons. The rock here is granite rock, which is very different from that sandstone rock. And the rock itself is only that size. But here, there are some exquisite things. One is an inscription that has been etched on the walls of this cave temple. I do not have a photograph of that inscription, but I know the verse. It is one single stanza, one verse, one shlokam in Sanskritam. I will quote it for you and I will give you the meaning also. It says, Etad Anishtikam Adrumam Aloham Ashudam Vichitra Chittena Nirmapitam Nripena Brahmeshwara Vishnu Lakshita Yatanam. Brahmeshwara Vishnu, Brahma, Ishwara and Vishnu, this cave temple was for all 3 gods. But what is important, that is nice, that's very nice. The first sentence is what is very important for historians and archaeologists. It says, Etad, this. Anishtikam. Ishta is brick. Anishtikam is without brick. Aloham. Loha is metal, iron, without metal. Adrumam. Drumam is wood. Adrumam without wood. Sudha is plaster, like the chunam, that plaster that we put. Ashudam without sudha, without plaster. So without metal, without brick, without wood, without plaster, Vichitra Chittena Nirmapitam. This was done by a person called Vichitra Chitta. Vichitra, unique. Chitta, mind. That was the title of King Mahendravarman. So Vichitra Chittena Nirmapitam. So he's saying, I'm making a temple without. What is he making it of? Stone. So he could very easily have said, Etat Shilagraham aham karishyami aham karomi. He could have easily said that in Sanskritam. But this man, this King Mahendravarman, this Vichitra Chitta person, was a very unique minded. He could not put anything straightforward. He was also a poet, so he had to complicate it. This complication is very useful to historians because we now understand he is saying all this because before his time it was not of stone. It was of brick, it was of metal, it was of wood, it was of lime plaster. So therefore, fine. Before his time all this was there. He has changed it into stone. That is why he is saying without. So this little cave temple, which is not in worship today, is very, very useful for us. And which is why, though it is so small and hidden in some small village, it is a protected monument of national importance under the care of the Archaeological Survey of India. This is from here. This is the sculpture that I'm showing you. This is a Dwarapalaka. This is a door guardian. Now the Dwarapalaka of the Pallava times is very different from the Dwarapalaka of the Chalukya times, etc., etc. He is literally standing in what is called Tribanga, three bends in the body like dancers do, and he's leaning on his gada. Now I'm going to a cave temple in Tiruchirapalli, a very famous city in Tamil Nadu. And this place is famously known as Rock Fort. Many people know about it. But people who go to Rock Fort will quickly climb up or slowly climb up. Right up to the top, where there is a Ganesha temple. It's called the Uchi Pulliyar Kovil, meaning the Pulliyar Kovil, which is right at the top. There is also a very famous Shiva temple. That's the one you are seeing. But I would request people who go to Rockford, who go to Trichy, to definitely climb up Rockford, visit the Shiva temple. On the way to the Ganesha temple that is on the top, please visit this shrine. Nobody even looks at it. If you look at this board, you will understand that it means it's a protected monument under the care of the Archaeological Survey of India. Protected monument of national importance, which would make this thing very important. See this lady who's climbing up. She's not even looking at this thing. She's looking at Pulliyar. We want to go to Pulliyar. That's correct only. You see Pulliyar, but see this temple before you go. So if you go inside, you see this sculpture. Extraordinary. If you go to any Shiva temple, you will find a Shivalinga. In the main sanctum, you will find a Shivalinga. Here, in the time of this Pallava king Mahendravarman, he decided that it would not be a Shivalinga, but it will be God Shiva's Swarupam itself. This is God Shiva. It is one of the manifestations of this deity. But which manifestation? You will see one strand of his hair being let out and one lady here. That is Ganga Devi, who is flowing here, who has come from the heavens. I think you all know that story of Bhagiratha Prayatna. King Bhagiratha wanted the Ganga to come on to the earth. She was in the heavens to wash the ashes of his ancestors. She agreed to come, but she said that the earth will not be able to bear the impact of her fall from the heavens. So she wanted somebody to hold her. So Bhagiratha again starts his prayer once more to God Shiva, begs him to hold the Ganga. He says yes. And the Ganga comes in her full fury from heaven to earth, and he just lets out one strand of his hair, and she comes and gets locked inside, and then she flows on earth. So this is called Gangadhara Murti, he who holds the Ganga. A very rare image of Gangadhara inside the main sanctum of a temple. Next to this image, on this side and on this side, you have a verse. It is a poem. It's a poem. This script is called the Grantha script, and the language is Sanskritam. King Mahendravarman himself was a great poet, so he wrote this script. He wrote this poem, and he's left it there. He indicates he was a honestly, this King Mahendravarman was an amazing person. He wants to tell us, he wants to tell the people who read this inscription that he has conquered up to the river Kaveri in Tamil Nadu. His kingdom was north, Kanchipuram, but he wants to say, I have conquered up to the river Kaveri, that is in mid Tamil Nadu. And the Kaveri flows right next to this rock fort. He doesn't want to say it in simple language. That's not what Mahendravarman used to do. So he very beautifully puts the words in the mouth of goddess Parvati, and she's telling God Shiva, look, I know you are Nadi Priya. You are a lover of rivers. You have Ganga on your head already. Please don't even look at this river Kaveri, because she already belongs to Mahendravarman Pallava. In a fantastic sense of humor. Fantastic. So that is Mahendravarman. Anyway, we'll move to the time of his son Narsimhavarman. We are going to this place that is called Mamallapuram. Ancient name is Mamallapuram. Today's official name is Mamallapuram. But in between, the British came to India. They changed so many names. They changed the name of this place to Mahabalipuram. We continue to call it Mahabalipuram. And those who want to use it as a picnic spot, this is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. But for those of us who live in Chennai, many of us think of it as a picnic spot, and we have lowered the name to Mahabs also. That is very unfortunate. But this is really one of the most historical places. I am now taking you through the stages of temple architecture. I want you to see how the pillars of Mahendravarman's temple look. Now, within a short time, in the reign of his son and successor Mahendravarman, see how the pillars are now. Much more slender, far more intricate. You have the lion pillars, and then if you go inside, you have an amazing sculpture of Varaha, Bhu Varaha, Varaha lifting goddess Earth, Bhuma Devi. In Indian art, I'm not talking about modern art. In traditional Indian art, we never show Bhuma Devi as a sphere. Indians knew that, but she will be seen as a Devi. She will be seen as a goddess, Bhu Devi or Bhuma Devi. And then you have this amazing sculpture of Vamana having become Trivikrama. I want you to one leg down, the second leg goes right there. And who is there to receive that leg? That is Brahma Loka. Brahma is sitting in tapas. Suddenly he sees one leg coming in front of him. He knows it's Vishnu Pada. So he takes the water from his kamandalu and does abhisheka to that pada. And you have that famous kriti of Anamacharya, Brahma Gadigina Padamu. That is this. That is the foot that is worshipped by Brahma. And I want you to see this sculpture. The sculptors are making things more and more intricate. The temples are getting more and more ornate as we go along. This sculpture is of a person who is mentioned in the Ramayana, Valmiki's Ramayana. His name was Trishanku. He was one of the ancestors of Rama. We have a saying that there is a Trishanku Swargam. When you are undecided, why are you in Trishanku Swargam? Do I want to do this? Do I want to go there? Why it's called Trishanku Swargam is because Trishanku was said to have been an extremely handsome person. When he died, he didn't want to leave his body. He wanted to ascend to Swarga with his own Shariram. Not possible. So the Devas did not allow that. So sage Vishwamitra, taking pity on him, said, we will create a separate Swarga for you. So this is Trishanku Swarga. Now why should this 7th century Pallava sculptor put Trishanku over here? Because he wanted to show you that this is earth, that is Brahmaloka, and this in-between place is somewhere Trishanku Swarga. that space in between. So there are so many things over here. Gajalakshmi, this is Durga. Forget the mutilated part of it, forget all that. I want you to see what this man and this man are doing. These are all reflections of things that happened in society at that time. This man is cutting off his head to offer to goddess Durga. This man is cutting off his hand to offer to the goddess. These were things that were done in those days for many reasons. So, this is a very something that was there in the 7th century. We'll go to another cave temple in Mamallapuram. This has got an amazing sculpture of Mahishasuramardini. Not Mahishasuramardini after she had killed Mahishasura. This was the fight bit with Mahishasura. You can actually see her holding the bow full length with her hand, and she has pulled the arrow. This was that nanosecond before she was going to let the arrow. And Mahishasura already tottering. He looks as though he is about to fall. One man of his is about to be killed. Another man is dead and gone. The others are all running away at the back. He knows he's done. That one is that this, you have photographers taking photographs of athletes just about to reach the finishing line. This is like that. This is that nanosecond before she lets go of the arrow and he's done. That's all. Look at what that sculptor has done. We go to there are so many cave temples in South India. I can't show you all of them. There are so many. We go to the next stage in temple architecture. This is in Mamallapuram. This is 7th century in the reign of a king called Narasimha Varman Pallava. They have done something even more difficult than the cave temples, if it is possible. It is even more difficult. Here, they have cut the rocks into 1, 2, 3, 4 sections. This is separate. So 4 sections. They've just cut a rock like that, and they have designed each of these temples. These temples are what are called monoliths. Mono, one lithic stone. Each is one piece of stone. They have cut from top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom. This also top to bottom. And each reflects a different style of architecture that was in Tamil Nadu at that time. All right? So this is how it looked before the Archaeological Survey of India came and cleaned it up for us. This is the first one. We in Tamil Nadu are used to calling these the Pancha Pandava Rathas. Such a blunt, stupid name I've never heard in my life. Pancha Pandavas never came to Mamallapuram, first of all, to the best of our knowledge. Second thing, these are not rathas. These are not chariots. Where are the chariots? Where are the wheels and the horses and everything? Nothing is there. But the name has come. So they've called this Draupadi Ratha. What it has to do with Draupadi, I fail to understand. But anyway, this is actually for goddess Durga. All these 5 monoliths are incomplete. They are unfinished. Doesn't matter. Let us see how beautiful they are. So because it is for goddess Durga, they must have a Vahana in front, and this is the Vahana of Durga. This is the lion. But the lion is also unfinished. If what they wanted to do was, they wanted to remove all that stone between the legs. Can you see the lines they have put there? They were chiseling, wanting to remove all that, so that the lion will be standing on all 4 legs and it will look like a real lion. It didn't happen. The second one, because of local imagination, is called Arjuna Ratha. This was meant for God Shiva. As you can see, there is a Nandi. His Vahana is at the back. So, but there's nothing inside. The third one is which is called Bhima Ratha, I guess, because it's large and big. So Bhima Ratha is actually meant for Vishnu, the reclining form of Vishnu. So when Vishnu is Sheshashayi, he is lying down, and therefore his sanctum must be horizontal. So that is, if you go inside, if you let your imagination do the work, you can see the outlines of Sheshashayi, Anantashayi. You can see it there, but not to be completed. The top part is completed, the bottom part was not finished, unfortunately. Now, this is the fourth one. Absolutely magnificent specimen of temple architecture. See, it's growing bigger and bigger and bigger, as you can see. Now, this one, how fantastic it is. My words will not be enough to describe the greatness of this monument. It is called today the Dharma Rajaratha. It was meant for God Shiva. That is very clear. Now, as I mentioned, they started working from the top and then they came to the bottom. Therefore, can you see a gap over here where I'm showing you? That is actually one Garbhagriha. That is one sanctum. There is another Garbhagriha here. All right. So they started working from the top. They created one Sannidhi here. They also created a Pradakshina Pata. You can do Pradakshina here. Not now. If you have special permission, you do. Then there are steps on the back leading down to this Garbhagriha. You can worship. You can go around like this is also a Pradakshina. You can see it here. What they were planning to do and did not do, unfortunately, is to have steps leading from the middle floor to the ground floor. Have a Garbhagriha here and have a Pradakshina here. If it had been completed, what you would have had in front of you today is one Garbhagriha on the ground floor. You go there, you worship, you do Pradakshina, take the steps up, worship, do Pradakshina, take the steps up, worship and do Pradakshina in one piece of stone. Within one piece of stone. And look at the symmetry, look at the perfection. These sculptors were sitting on top. They were working like this. Now, how did they achieve this? I don't know. Something amazing. And you have sculptures of gods all around. But there is one particular sculpture that is very interesting, very intriguing. The reason it's very interesting is because this god does not have 4 hands, but he is not Rama, he is not Krishna, and he has one peculiar kind of a crown, but this is not a god at all. This is the king, Narsimhavarman Pallava, who commissioned the making of all these monuments. So he is there, Mamalla, and above him his name is written, not his direct name, but all his titles. I'll give you one title just to show you how interesting these titles are. One of his title was Sri Megha, auspicious cloud. Why would a person call himself an auspicious cloud? Because without clouds there is no water, without water there is no irrigation, no agriculture, no prosperity. So he is Sri Megha. Again, we come to the 5th of the monoliths. From the front it looks very ordinary. But if you go to the back, it is round, not round, oval shape. Now this is called in architectural terms, this is called Gaja Prishta. Gaja is elephant and Prishta is back. So this is how the back of an elephant actually looks. In Tamil Nadu, we call it, those of you who know Tamil will be able to connect, Tunganai Madam, like the back of a sleeping elephant. Okay. Therefore, the Pallava architects of the 7th century did not write Gajaprishta, they did not write Tunganai Madam, they just gave you another sculpture of an elephant with its back towards us so that you can compare. Gajaprishta Vimanam, Gajaprishta. Not many people do that. All they do is they climb on the elephant and have the selfie taken. That is generally what happens. But when there is so much that they have given us, why our country has come to this level, I don't know. Anyway, if you don't know all that also, it's fine. The elephant is a beautiful piece of sculpture. Again, what they would have done is, it's unfinished. They would have taken out all the stone, they would have added 2 tusks, they would have given the finishing touches, and you would have had a very lifelike elephant in front of you. At twilight, you would not know whether it's a real elephant or not. So, cave temple tradition is over. Then monolithic tradition is also over. They are going forward from 3G, 4G, 5G. They are going forward. So now they decided we should not go to the place where the rocks are. Let the rocks come to us. So they're cutting the rocks, bringing it to another place. This is in Mamallapuram. This is in the 8th century. By the seashore, you can see the Bay of Bengal at the back. By the seashore, they built a lovely temple. This is called the seashore temple. So now you have come to the tradition where you are building rock upon rock. You're keeping one stone upon another stone. Only now you can use the word constructing a temple. Till now, you could not use the word construct. You had not, you had only dug in, you had cut out all that. So this is constructing. But sadly, this is so close to the seashore that the salt air has eaten into the temple. Now we go to step by step, everything is getting grander and grander very soon. Same 8th century Pallava period in the capital city Kanchipuram, you have the biggest temple ever built in India in the 8th century. This is the Kailasanatha temple. You see, in Tamil Nadu, we have this tradition, good or bad, I don't know, that the kings gave their names to temples. So, this temple you today call Kailashanatha, when it was built, it was called Rajasimheshwara because it was constructed in the time of King Rajasimha. Okay, so Rajasimha's Ishwara temple. And here I have to tell you a very, very moving story. King Rajasimha had fixed the date for the Kumbhabhishekam of this temple. He said, on this day, the Kumbhabhishekam will happen. As soon as he had decided, God Shiva came in his dream and said, cancel the Kumbhabhishekam. I cannot be present in your temple on that day that you have given. Why? Because I have to go to the Kumbhabhishekam of some other temple, so you change the date. So Shiva disappears. So Rajasimha wakes up in the morning and says, I am the king of this entire Pallava Samrajya. I have built the biggest temple for God Shiva, and he is not coming for my Kumbhabhishekam. Which Kumbhabhishekam is he going for? So he sent his people to the countryside and they were searching. No temple for Shiva was being built anywhere. No temple at all. So when they were wondering what to do, some people found out that in a small village, it's near Chennai, in a village called Tiruchirapalli, there was a sannyasi, there was a yogi. Very poor man, no money at all. His greatest desire in his life was to build a temple for God Shiva. Where was he to go for money? Nothing. So he decided to build it in his heart. So day by day, he was constructing the temple in his heart. Little by little, it had been given form, it had been given shape, and one auspicious day had been decided for the Kumbhabhishekam in his heart. And that was the day Rajasimha had decided for his temple. And Shiva would rather be in the heart of that yogi than in that temple built with a lot of ego. So, when Rajasimha came to know that, he came to Tirunendravoor. In his heart, that Kumbhabhishekam had been done. But to fulfill the wishes of that great saint, he built a temple for him the way he wanted it, out of stone. And that temple is still there in Tirunendravoor. It is a temple in active worship. It is called Hridaya Ishwarar. Hridayam means heart. Hridaya Alaya Ishwara. It is still there. Beautiful temple. That person in whose heart the temple was being built is called Pusala Nayanar. He is one of the 63 Nayanmars, great Shiva Bhaktas. Anyway, let us come to Rajasimha's temple. Let us conclude that Shiva gave him another date and the Kumbhabhishekam happened and this temple is still in worship. Very, very grand temple. See how temples are getting bigger and bigger. This is the prakaram, the outer prakaram of this temple.